Hi, this is Emma Benson, and for my City Maps project, I decided to look at the city of Paris, and more specifically, how immigration populations relate to the different neighborhoods of Paris itself. So in class, we learned that a lot of immigrants are scattered throughout the suburb neighborhoods of Paris, but I wanted to look at what impact immigration has on the center of the city itself. So as a little background, Paris has 20 arrondissements, or neighborhoods, that spiral around the center of the city. The first arrondissement, where the Louvre, the Royal Palace, and the Tuileries Gardens are now located. To highlight a few of these neighborhoods, the third and fourth arrondissements, or the Marais, it's a very lively neighborhood. It is home to the largest gay and Jewish populations and is a hangout for very artistic and young people in Paris. It's also one of the most expensive neighborhoods to live in. The 7th arrondissement is home to some of the most famous landmarks in Paris. As you can see, the Eiffel Tower, the Musée d'Orsay, and the Hôtel des Invalides, where Napoleon is now buried. My favorite arrondissement is the 18th, where you can find Sacré-Cœur and Moulin Rouge. So what I wanted to do look at more with this project is the distribution of immigrants within the city of Paris, and if the cultures of the neighborhoods had anything to do with the concentration of the immigrants. As a general trend, I saw that most of the neighborhoods to the west of the city core here, so these neighborhoods tended to have less immigrants, but also tended to be some of the richest neighborhoods in Paris. The arrondissements with the least amount of immigrants were the 5th, or the Latin Quarter, ironically. It is known for being the site of very prestigious schools. The 12th arrondissement, or the Bastille, which actually houses the Museum of Immigration of Paris, but has the least amount of immigrants out of all the neighborhoods at 18.8%. Of the total population. And then the 15th arrondissement, which is home to the city's tallest high-rise and many business-oriented areas, but also only has about 20% immigrants within it. So then I decided to look at the areas with the most concentration of immigrants and what is unique about those areas. So the 2nd arrondissement has about 28.6% immigrants in their neighborhood, and also contains the city's most important business district and a textile district where there tend to be many jobs available. It is also considered the densest concentration of commercial activity in the city. The 10th arrondissement, which is here, has the highest concentration of immigrants at almost 30%, 29.6% of the whole neighborhood. This neighborhood contains 2 of the busiest railway termini in the city, and so I would guess most people who can afford it would tend to stay away from this hustle and bustle. It also tends to have many environmental effects, and it also has a very large Turkish minority in the city. The 18th also has 27.5% of immigrants in their neighborhood, and I believe this is because of the common practice of street sales on the grounds on and around Sacré-Cœur. It has a very large concentration of African and North African immigrants from the former colonies of France who run a very large African market in their neighborhood within the 18th arrondissement. I also wanted to highlight the 13th arrondissement, which has been considered the Chinatown of Paris, and it has a very large population of Chinese and Vietnamese immigrants, and they have set the culture so high in the neighborhood, so much so that a McDonald's has actually been opened up and the signage was all in Chinese. So overall, what I found from this project is that in history, when one group of people has settled in a certain neighborhood, if anyone else comes from that country, especially the colonies of France, they have tended to settle where there's familiar people, food, language, and overall culture that they are familiar with. And although Paris has an uneven distribution of wealth in the city, and in its arrondissements, there has been a large number of immigrants throughout each neighborhood, and this has made each neighborhood have a distinct culture that is unique to their own arrondissement.